Okay, let's do assignment number 5, database normalization. I'm going to use ERD Plus, the tool, to do it in, and when we're all done, you can submit it, and we'll be done with number 5. And then there's only 6 assignments for this course, by the way. If you haven't noticed, you have in the, oops, let me go back to the Canvas. Let's see if I can find Canvas. Let's see. In the Canvas class, we have six assignments and the final exam. So this is, I recently cleaned this up. It was a little different before, which is why I'm showing it to you now. So today we're doing number 5, and then number 6 we're going to start. Number 6 is actually a multiple choice kind of thing. We'll see if you guys can get any of these answers. And we'll kind of use it as a prep for next week. So we'll do that later. We'll use that as a prep for next week's lecture. And then next week's lecture in the morning, or maybe even this afternoon, I'm going to show you a little bit about PHP as a scripting language, interface to the MySQL, which is kind of fun. So we'll start one or the other. Maybe we'll do a little bit of both. We'll see what happens. Anyway, so this is number 5 that we're working on. And this one is technically due on the 29th. Number 4, which was the comparison and contrast between the different databases. The paper was due last week, or is due today, actually, 22nd. Okay, so this morning I talked about database normalization. So let's see if we can put this to work here. So this, instead of it being a cross and a line, it is just a list of customer order table. It's one table. We have think called a customer order table. And I'm looking at it, and it looks like we have a customer ID, customer first name, last name, middle name. Looks like an address, 1, address 2, a city, state, a name, postal code. And it looks like we switch into an order ID. This is all in the same table. So I can kind of go and say, well, order ID, okay, that's an order concept. One of the no-brainer things here I'm going to basically look at is, this is an easy example, by the way, but when you're trying to normalize a bunch of tables, the first thing you got to really consider is what data belongs. We're in first normal form. Well, it's hard to tell if we are. We don't know if we have any repeating groups, but it looks pretty good. I don't see any repeating groups because of the form of the data. So really what I want to do is kind of work on, basically normal form number 2. So I'm going to do a slight variation, and you can do the same thing if you want for the submission. So what you can do is just turn in the diagram we're going to create. If you want, you can use this syntax over here, but I'm going to do it graphically instead. You don't have to know this syntax for the final exam in this course. Maybe you'll never use this syntax, but it's just a verbal way of describing what we're going to do graphically. So I'm going to use the tool, the ERD Plus, and I have it loaded up. I just went to, just in case you haven't used it in a while, erdplus.com. And then I clicked on down here on the bottom where it says standalone. Standalone. And now I have this screen up here. And if I go into diagram, I'm going to select now the new relational schema. So it's the second one down. I'm not going to do an entity relationship diagram. Instead, I'm going to create a relational schema, because I want to put this in the third normal form. So I'm going to go ahead and select it. And then now I see I've got a table icon here. So I can, actually if I wanted to, just put some tables out here, thinking that I'm probably going to have tables that are kind of going to come out of here. And I just put 3 of them out here. I'm just taking a wild guess. Here, actually, let me put a 4th one out here just in case. So I put 4 little tables out there. I'm just going to put them in a line like this to start out with. And what I'm going to try and do is build a graphical schema of this and normalize it. So if I were going to do it, I'm going to come down here, and this is actually sort of, let me get rid of this squirrely line here so you can see what I'm talking about. Ignore all. You you can sort of see where things are underlined in here, which is basically just an exercise of taking some of the stuff and moving it into different tables and stuff. And it looks like it's actually probably in a pretty good order. Now the table was originally called customer order table. Because it says customer ID, I'm probably going to have a customer table. So I'm going to put I'm going to put a line in here. I'm going to separate this out a little bit. So this one says order ID. I think I'm probably going to have an order table too. And then, well, that's about it, looks like. Order ID. No, there's a product here. It looks like right underneath it I see a product ID. So it looks to me like customers, they order products. And there's an order date right now. I don't know what else is going to go in that order table. But it looks to me like there's about three different tables out of here. 1, 2, 3. No, 4 maybe. Looks like there's a order quantity. Order quantity. Maybe that's part of the product. Maybe that's part of an invoice. Maybe there's an invoice that gets out of that. So I'm going to start out with a no-brainer here. I'm going to come up here at the top and say, it looks like we're trying to keep track. And unfortunately, sometimes you get this. You get all this data. You're like, well, how am I going to put this data in a database? And you're like, okay, well, So I'm going to logically group it, and we'll see what happens. And when I take it off of here and stick it on the diagram, I'm going to remove it. So it's like, once it gets a home, I'm going to leave it in its new home. So this looks like the no-brainer. The first table looks like might be a customer table. So I'm going to go ahead and come over here and call this one customer. And then I'm going to move these out of the way because I want to deal with just the customer table. And I'm going to add a column. And I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to see if I can do the split screen actually. Yeah, a little bit. Looks like I've got an underlying customer ID, customer first name, customer last name, customer middle name, it looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in here then. I'm going to go customer ID, and it's underlined, but it's probably going to be a foreign key or primary key of some sort. So I'm going to type in here customer, C-U-S-T, customer ID. Yeah, looks like that, customer ID. And then I'm going to add another. Here it's going to be called customer first name. Customer last name. Customer middle name. I think it's just customer, MI, middle initial maybe. It stands for middle initial. And then looks like customer street 1, street address 2. Lots of data in here. Customer street 2. City, customer states, state code and state name. Customer state code, state name, postal code, country name. Okay. I don't know why we have all that stuff in there actually, but we might have to remove some of this stuff. Customer state code. I'm going to put it in initially, and then I might take it out, or I might move it out, actually. Customer state name. Oh, I got table by going into diagram, and I selected new relational schema. So remembering that this is an iterative approach, let's see. New attribute on the bottom here. I need to change this one to something. Let's see. Customer state number. Customer country code. Customer country name. Customer country code. And I'm going to add another one in here for customer country name. So that's all my customer data. So at this point, I'm gonna kind of take it off my to-do list here. Wipe it out. There we go. Yeah. Oh, I forgot the postal code. There was more. Okay, hold on a second. Undo that cut and paste I just did. Yeah, I got a postal code in there. State name, country name. Okay, let's put the postal code in there too. I don't think we're gonna need any of this stuff really in the end, but let's see. Customer postal code. I think it said postal code, customer. Everything said customer in front of it. We could probably improve on that one. All right, so this is our first pass through. We're getting this into, looks like we're gonna get this into second normal form quite easily, considering that we probably started out in first normal form. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete the part I've already put in there because I don't want to put it in more than one spot. So I'm gonna consider that that data was probably properly placed already. Now I have these two items here. I'm gonna make an orders table, I think. Yeah, I'm gonna make it an order table. So I'm gonna pick this one here and label this one orders. And then there's an order ID and an order date. So we got here an order ID and an order date. So, and then I have product ID, product description, order product price. This one here might not belong. What I'm doing is I'm just going off of the names that this customer has given me. Probably came from some report or something. So let's go ahead and do this one here. This is the product table. So I'm going to type in a product. And let's add the product ID. That seems like a no-brainer. And a product description. And a product price. Order product price. I think this order product price belongs in the order table. So I'm going to go back up to the order table. I'm going to stick this one in here only because of the way it's named. It's going to try and it looks like it should go in here. So order product price. Is it really just a product price though? So then I have order quantity, order amount, and a bunch of other stuff. Well, it looks like it belongs to the order table actually. So I'm going to go ahead and add it to the order table. And it looks like I have an extra table, so I'm going to get rid of that one. Let's see. I delete the table. I'll just leave it down there. Probably a way of deleting it somehow. Highlight, press the delete key now. There's a delete right here. There we go. Okay. So let's say I'm going to move the product down over here. And I believe all this other stuff is probably going to go in the orders table. So order quantity. So that makes a lot of sense. So I'm going to add one here. So order quantity. Order amount. Order street address. Street 1. Order street 2. Order city, state code, most of this other stuff in here. So, and it seems kind of tedious, but we have to do this in order to get it. So we can have something to work with here. So let's see. Do it this way, actually. Much better, much better. Okay, good. So let's see. Order street, order city, order state, state code, order postal code, we got another one here called the order country code, country name. All right. So I believe I'm in a pretty good second normal form. So I got into second normal form. Now it's gone completely, but I had one table. It was called customer orders, the original table. So I've taken that table. Now I don't need this one anymore, so I'm going to get rid of this one here. I took the table, the one table, and I broke it out into 3 tables by grouping the data together by its logical, looks like its logical order. And this was the easy one because it was all ordered. It was all labeled according to what my thing belongs. But unfortunately, I'm only in the second normal form, and the assignment wants to put me in the third normal form. So I have duplicate data. I have a lot of duplicate data. And I have data that spans over multiple tables that's all the same. And then I have data that is partially dependent, and I have data that is a transitive dependency. So I have both, which means I'm kind of 1 1/2. If I get rid of the transitive, or if I get rid of the partial, then I may actually get into a second normal form. So the idea is that I'm not quite there because of these qualities. So if you keep in mind, if you only have one table, you're always in first normal. So now I'm kind of 1 1/2 because there's something I can do. There's something I can do here to fix this, to put me into second, and that would be to identify these keys. So if I come over here, and I clicked on the customer table, and then I click on the primary key, and then I click on customer ID, you can see now that I'm not gonna actually link this together now. Well, I'm not gonna really link it together. I have no way of linking it, but I'm at least gonna identify primary keys now in each one of the tables. So I'm gonna start with the keys and then see how that works. So in the orders table, I think the order ID is the key. So I'm gonna click on primary key. I'm gonna make order ID the primary key. And then in the product table, the primary key appears to be the product ID. So now I'm keyed up. And I actually had the keys. They were in the printout. I just didn't make them in my diagram. But I really, I don't have in my orders, I don't really have anything in there that, now I'm going to make this sort of look like a entity relationship diagram now. Because I want to get to third normal form. But before I get there, I want to fix a couple more problems too. The product ID is great. Does the order have the product ID in it? No, it doesn't. Customer ID is great. Does the order have the customer ID in it? No. So if I wanted to key them together to get, because I want to get this in the third normal form, I'm gonna play around with the referential integrity. Then I'm gonna add to the orders. If this is the customer who orders products, then I'm going to put in the orders a key from this side and a key from this side, now that I have those keys. So I'm going to do that by clicking on here and adding the key, and I'm going to stick it like right underneath on the top here. I'm going to put in here an add column, and the column that I'm going to add is going to be called customer ID. Customer ID. And I knew there's a way of rebooting. I know there's a way of moving. Oh, let's go move it up. There we go. The up key. I'm going to move it up because I want to stick it up underneath the order ID. If I put the keys in the beginning, and it's easier for me to find them. I created a new one. Yeah. So now I have a order ID coming up customer. Oops, I have it. Let me move it down when I put it up too far. Move it down one. So I have the primary key first, and then I have the second one underneath it is going to be a customer ID. So it's not a primary key, it's really a foreign key. And the tool here, if I click on the connect, and then I click on customer ID here, I get it this way with customer ID. So let me do that one more time. What I did is I clicked on connect, and then I clicked on the table. Well, it's already connected, but I clicked on the table here, and then I clicked on the table here to drag it this way, and it turned green. And it logically picked up, well, now I have two of them, two customer IDs. So it logically picked it up. So actually this was kind of a waste. So I'm going to delete this, delete the column. And then delete the column I put in here. It's going to put it in, so you don't actually have to add it. So I just realized something here. With the tool set, we don't have to put it in there. Other tool sets, you would add the key and then you'd link it. I'm so used to the MySQL, my PHP admin that we were looking at last time we were meeting. We have to put the key in there, then we have to link the primary to the foreign. In this tool set, you don't have to do that. It actually adds it for you automatically. So if I want to put the product ID, the orders is going to have a product ID. So I'm going to do the same thing. I click on connect, and I'm going to click on product, and then I'm going to drag it to the orders. And then now I have a product ID as a foreign key. So I have two foreign keys. I have a customer ID and a product ID, and this is the orders table. I'm in third normal form. Kinda. Or am I in third normal form? Or do you see any other problem with this? There's another problem with this. I'm not in BCNF either. I see two problems with this, but let's see what could possibly be the problem. If we look at this stuff down here, the customer state code, customer state name, it's a partial dependency. So technically, because I have partial dependency, I'm technically not in third normal form. I also have a customer country code, and a customer country name. And then I have a customer postal code. So I'm not in BCNF either, because I've got a postal code. What do I really need a postal code for? What's a postal code? Is it a zip code? Maybe it's a zip code. So maybe I do need that, actually. So I'm going to rearrange this a little bit here. I'm going to move the postal code up, because I think I want to keep the postal code. And let's move it up a little bit. I'm going to put the postal code so I can clearly see it underneath the city. Or is it the state? Well, I'm going to move it up a little bit so I don't mess around with it. Now I'm going to create another table, because here's the other problem too. I see a customer state code and order state code. Isn't it really the customer state code? Or did the customer place this order in the order state code? Is it the order that the order is shipping out of, or is it the customer? A little ambiguous. Plus, we have that transitive dependency, because the order state code, well, not only does the order state code might be different from the customer state code, but if its state code is, for example, CA, and the name is California, it seems to be a little redundant and room for inconsistency, because I could put another code in here and call it CA, and then use that country code or state code, the state code for CA, and then put another name in there like Carolina. It's really short for California, but I can put it like, another name. There's no law that says the state code and the country code have to be the same. So here's the thing. I'm going to pull it out. So I'm going to click on the table again, and this table that I create, I'm going to stick it right down here so I can kind of visually do this. And this one's going to be called, let's just do state. Let's just call it state. And then I'm going to put another one on here. It's going to be called country. Maybe. So let's see. I'm going to put another table down here. This one's going to be called country. And I'm going to have two things. Well, these are very similar, actually. I'm going to pull all the state stuff out of here. I'm putting this in the third normal form actually. So I'm going to pull all the state stuff out. Add a column here. Let's see. I'm going to start with the state. So I'm just going to put here state code, or actually I'm just going to put code in here. And then now I'm going to make this one the primary key. And then I'm going to add another column in here, and it's going to be name. And so then in here, I'm going to pull out the state code, customer state code, and customer state name. So I'm going to come down here, customer state code. I don't like this one. I'm going to delete it. Customer state name, delete it. And I'm also going to do the same thing out of here. I'm going to go customer state code, customer state name, customer state code. So now I can fix any inconsistencies that might actually exist with that. Order, oops, order state code. Oops, let's see. How come my scroll's not working? Let's see. Because I'm clicked on the orders. I don't have a state? I pulled it out already, looks like. Okay. Postal code. Postal code. I like the postal code in here. No, here's a order postal code. Okay, so I'm going to move the postal code up a little bit like I did with the other one. Put it underneath the street, looks like. City. I probably could put a city up. Let's take the city, move that up. Let's move down. That's order quantity. Okay. I'll just leave it alone. I can always fix it up later. Order price, order amount, street 1, street 2, postal code. Postal code, where's postal code? That's the offending one. I need to move it down one. There we go. Now I get the city, postal code. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the country. I'm going to pull out the country code and the country name and stick it in the country table. And I'm going to make the code the primary key. And then I'm going to put in here name. Oops. I don't want to change the name of the table. Hold on. And then I'm going to pull out the country code, the customer country code, and the customer country name out of the customer table. Customer country name. Oops, I have to make this smaller again so I can see it. Customer country name, don't want that anymore. Country code, don't want that anymore. So let's pull out the customer country code, postal code. That's good. And then the country customer name. All right, and I can probably figure out what I'm going to do next. I'm going to link them because we want to put it in there. So I'm going to click on the state. Or actually, I'm going to click on connect first, and then I'm going to click on the state, and then I'm going to click on the customer table. And you can see now I have the code in here. I can always move the code down. I can put it anywhere I want. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I click on connect, and clicking on the state. Now I'm going to click on the orders table. But the question I have to ask myself is, you know, does the order need a country code? Or is it the customer for the shipping? So technically, I'd go through the steps to put this in third normal form, and then I'd realize it's not in BCNF. I want to put it in BCNF. I'm not going to put the data in both spots. It's not needed. But I'm going to go through the drill here just to show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to click connect, click on the country, click on the orders, click connect, click on the country, click on the customer. Now, I only have the data in one spot. I have it keyed, and I don't have any transitive, and I don't have any partial dependencies anymore with both the state and with the country code. But then I'm looking at the interlink between this. Let's go over here. if I have a code, and I probably, well, if I want to improve upon this, I see I have code. I don't know what the codes are because I named them both codes over here. So I could definitely put state code over here, and then come over here and fix this a little bit and put country code over here. And then now I would have like a better coding system. Let's see, how do we refresh this? Because it still says code in here. Let me see. Save diagram. I want to refresh the diagram. Oh, where'd my diagram go? Uh-oh. Hopefully I just didn't lose my fancy diagram. Let's do this in a file. Save as. Oh, test. Open diagram. Test. Uh-oh. Hopefully just, you know what it is? I'm using Safari. No. No. I can't believe I just did that. Huh? How can I do it? How can I do it? Let's see. Edit, copy. I'm using Safari and it's not compatible. Let me go over to Firefox. Chrome. Let's go to Chrome. And go into ERD+. I knew there was a reason why I didn't have it bookmarked in Safari. Let's go standalone diagram. Oh, you know what if I hit the back button over here? No. It's lost. No, that's the code I want. Let's see if I put the code inside of Chrome. I did. I tried to do that. But what's the extension? ERD+? Maybe that's what the problem is. When you save it, is it called ERD+? Maybe? Yeah, I think that, let's try it this way then. Diagram, open diagram, ERD+. Oh. Anybody save theirs? If I give you her, hold on a second. I want to get this back. Okay, we're back. Let's see if this one's correct. Perfect. Looks like what I was doing. And I was in the process of changing this one. So I changed this one to state code. And I changed this one to country code. Because of the naming convention, we're making a slight improvement. It doesn't really go into first, second, or third normal form. It's just one of the best practices to kind of, because when you use it in here, and this is where I got stuck actually. Save diagram. But how do I get this to refresh? I think I did this. Open diagram. If you refresh the screen, the diagram goes away. Maybe this was in my downloads folder because I saved it and it was. Okay. Interesting enough though, I think the tool is a little off because it says codes here still. So I'm not going to. If you just delete it. Well, we're going to delete it in a few minutes anyway, but let's see. How do you get. Oh, you have to delete it here. Code. Delete. I will fix it. Delete. Connect. But here's the thing. The order doesn't need the country code or the state code. It was in there originally, but it was the customer's information. So when we went from first to second normal form, we didn't actually do our second normal form correctly because we had information that didn't really belong. So in here, however, we have another issue that we didn't really take into consideration either. If the order is being shipped to the customer, we could have an order date, which is nice, like order quantity, but it really would be a product quantity if we were doing a product, if they were buying one product at a time. So the logic is a little messed up. Maybe not. An order price is okay. An order amount, order product price. Well, isn't that really the product price here? So if you were putting in the product ID, you would get the product price. So in essence, what we can do is get rid of the price out of here. And we don't need it. Order product price. Because the order product price is in here. Just the same way as we don't necessarily need to put in the state code or the country code because it's in the customer table. We know what state and what country the customer lives at. Yeah? So maybe it's order price or total price, like order amount, maybe. Order amount is an order quantity. So it could be that it wasn't order product price, but it was total amount. So I'm going to change the amount then. I'm going to call this one, how about total amount due? Total amount due. So I have a customer ID. I have a product ID. Product ID is going to have the product description, product price. And then I'm going to have an order quantity. And then I'm going to have an order date. And then the total amount due. Now the order street 1, street 2, order city, order postal code. Technically that we don't need that if we got it in the customer table. Just as for the same reason we didn't need the customer's country code or state code. However, there's a lot of invoices, and here's where the business logic comes into place. There's a lot of invoices that would say, what if you have a ship to and a bill to? So if this is the bill, customer bill address, then I'm going to rename this one then. It says, instead of order, I'm going to just say ship. So I'm going to take the word order out there, and I'm just going to put ship instead. Ship street. Ship street 2. Considering that it might be different, and then ship city. And then ship postal code. And then I'm going to figure out that, oh no, I need to put the state and the country back in. So I'm going to put it back in now, because now it makes actually sense. So, because I'm using it, it's not the same, I'm using a different one. So I put those back in there now. So I have country code, state code, assuming it's for the shipping. If I really wanted to, I could create, and this is, okay, so we're in third normal form right now. We're in third normal form because we don't have the data in more than one spot, because this shipping address is a different shipping address than the customer address, theoretically. We have the product information on the product price separated out. We got the state, and so we have no more transitive relationships, which is what this was. This was transitive because it was referring to itself in the same table. No partial dependencies anymore, but we still got two concepts in one. So technically, the order ID is related to the shipping ID or shipping address. So the order might actually have like a shipment or a ship component to it, shipping ID or ship stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to put it in BCNF. There's nothing wrong with this right now. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's their normal form. And it looks like an entity relationship diagram to me as well. It says customers order products. But I'm going to add another relationship to it that say that the products are shipped. So I'm going to put in like shipping information. So if I'm going to do that, now I'm going to go BCNF and I'm going to go third normal form. I'm going to do the whole 9 yards here. I'm going to fix this all the way up here. So I'm going to put another table in. I'm going to stick it right here, and this one's going to be called shipping. shipment, because the product is shipped. And if it's a shipment, then that's really where I'm going to use this order code and stuff. So I'm going to first kind of come in here and get rid of the country code. I don't need that anymore because it's like out of the wrong one. Oops, did I get rid of the customer? Customer ID, product ID, state code. Let's get rid of the state code as well. And now the shipment is going to have a primary key in its own. So I'm going to say shipment ID, and I'm going to make this one the primary key. And then now I'm going to stick in here all this stuff about the shipping. So shipping street, shipping lane. Too bad I can't drag it, can I now? So I got to go add it in. So let's see. So I'm going to put in here ship street 1, and then ship street 2, and then ship city, ship state. Oh, forget the state code and country code. Forget the ship postal code though. Ship postal code. Man, that's really zip code, isn't it? Postal code. I think I might actually change this one to zip code. Zip code. And then I can come back here and say, okay, well, wait a minute now. We can get rid of the ship street 1, ship street 2, ship city, ship zip code. And then now I'm going to take and say, well, there's a shipment ID that goes along with every one of these orders. So I'm going to press on the connect, and I'm going to click the shipment and drag it over to the orders. And so now I have a shipment ID. So the order has got a customer ID, has product ID, could have more than one product ID. It's going to have an order date, order quantity, total amount due. Plus, along with that, we're going to have a shipment. And the shipment's going to be over here. And the shipment needs a state code and a country code. So I'm going to press on connect and go from state code to the shipment. And then I'm going to do the same thing with country. Click on connect. Go from that one to this one. And then we have pretty good. Move it around if we wanted to. Looks like a spider web, but it is definitely done at this point. So now we're third normal form and also in VCNF. And then nothing more than just a rearrangement of the data with some controlled redundancy added to it. And all the data now, I'm going to kind of look at this and say, well, if we have a new shipment, we're going to have a shipment ID. I guess we could have multiple shipment IDs with multiple orders. We're going to ship it out multiple times. And we could have multiple products on the orders. So that's a multiple to multiple. And multiple customers. But one customer is going to be tied to the order. And our country and our state codes are all moved out as well. So that's the finished product. If you were documenting it, let me show you real quick actually. So to turn this one in, if you want to turn this assignment in, you can give me the ERD plus file that has it, or you can do a screenshot, or you can, I'm going to save it right now actually. You could export the image, or you can do a screenshot if you want and upload that. Give me this and you're all done. So let's see, I'm going to compare now with the solution. And I'm going to see how we did. I'm going to show you the syntax for the writing. Let's see, here it is, assignment 5 solution. So let's take a look here. The single table description came out originally, and then we did a better job actually. Customer with product with order. Because we didn't just go third normal form when we went third normal VCNF. So we did it a step further. which means in here we have 3 tables. In here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tables. So we higher the normal form because we went higher. The higher number of tables we ended up getting out of that, which means if we were going to do a query, this sucker is going to be harder to query because when we do a query and we want to get like the whole shipping information, we have to go from 1, 2, 3 different tables, and we have to join the tables together rather than it all being in one table. So the low-tech third normal form simple version of this is the customer table with all the customer information. The product table with just the product. In fact, the product table here looks pretty much the same. Product description, product price, product ID. The order table has all the state and code information in it because we didn't pull it out. But it's showing you the syntax here in terms of what the coding would look like. So for here, the order table is the one that has the foreign key from references customer and foreign key that references the product, which is this table here, the order table. So this has got the 2. But the rest of the keys and the rest of the information brings it up into a higher normal form. But technically, that would work too. So the point I'm trying to tell you is there's multiple different ways of doing it. We could have just left it in this form without adding BCNF to it. We could have left it in second normal form if we wanted to. If we wanted to do that, we want to lower, because usually right now what we've been doing is going up the normal forms to higher levels. If we want to go back down, it's pretty easy. We just start putting the data back and get rid of the keys. And then we're going to introduce the redundancy and the inconsistencies perhaps. But we would see what happens at that point. So it was just a little exercise to sort of see how you can arrange the tables in the different normal forms. So let's see, I'm going to stop this recording. And so for assignment number 5, just give me this. You don't have to give me all of the syntax written out with words. You can just give me the diagram. Diagram says 1,000 words. So, okie dokie. So I'm going to stop this